Yeah, thank you. First of all, as already mentioned, I am not an expert in fire, and I'm very pleased to be able to give a little bit of ideas in my field to be transferred or whatever into your field, and I think it's so important what you do, and I was fascinated by all the speeches, the mathematical, all the things that are done, and the question is always, as I am very far away from fire and fire work, and fire safety and fire experience, but I think I'm very nearby wherefore you are doing your work. This is people like me. And I was very, very, let's say, disappointed, especially last week, when something happened again, what perhaps should be avoided in the future. This was an accident near Hanover, or it says a fire in a bus, killing 20 people. And you never would believe that, how can fire kill people in just a running bus where you can jump out in a minute or 2 minutes, you believe. But it was impossible for 20 people. Yesterday, coming to here, I read the newspaper because the question is, what is the reason for? There was one, smoking in the toilet. Second, a technical defect. Next week, they say they will be sure what was real. Is this the cause, or what's the cause? And I read yesterday the defense of the, or let's say the statement of the owner of the company, of the bus company, tourist bus. He said, it's the newest material. What we can do, the material was called inflammable. I don't know if it's the right translation, but it was called unbrennbar in German. Yes. Yeah. Okay, so therefore, you never know. But my third, let's say, mention, third part at this moment is just, I wrote down what Elizabeth just mentioned. I think we will come back to this at the end. She mentioned, understand limitation of fire tests, avoid regulatory test capture, and re-evaluate new technologies, new environment, new materials. With this, I think now we can go to my speech, and I think we will just skip a few slides because I think about the history and the legal situation was told. I will give an example and then a proposal for what to do in an environment like we have to deal with. The single European market, we just term was the SPI, and there was an American, let's say, the comparison. I think this is almost in the paper, and we can just skip to the, this is, I think, just to repeat. It said, giant complex structure, coordinates harmonize smooth out the difference, and the biological driven structure may or may not be able to deliver safe products across a variety of legal systems. This is, and one of the biggest challenges has been the harmonization of the basic concept of the common law and the continental written law doctrines. This is what perhaps you just like to mention. In the first step is normally to try to harmonize definitions so that suitable regulations can be created. Harmonize definitions. The definition of safe. What's safe in the product liability directive, for example. We found out, even in the translation, was ist sicher, what's safe. Safety, security, this all comes together, and it becomes a big discussion how far this can go. The fire standards, I think this we will go towards harmonization. You have all got this already, and I think the idea is, in general, that these new standards will generate safety. But does all this is really, let's say, enough for fire safety? Or in general, for guarantee, what's guaranteeing safety? How was safety guaranteed for the bus tourists? I think we now come to the example where from we can mention, I think, some ideas to, let's say, to the regulators, to the technical experts, to your work, perhaps. This is a case Kaprun. I think you all have heard about this case and you know what the situation is. It's a so-called Standseilbahn. It's a particular cable car system near, oh, what goes wrong? I'll come back. Is there a possibility to come back? Except, Salzburg, Austria. Salzburg, Austria is a very nice place.
Push the round one.
Yes.
Forward and back.
Again, the wrong one. There's a steering rod, and it's there for people. Yes. Interesting enough, Salzburg is a very nice place, not only because there's a ski area, it's also the hometown of my wife. So, you see, the Seilbahn, what's called Seilbahn, or the cable car, is rides at a 45-degree angle, and these are the steps to go into the train, car, whatever you will call it. This is also a question of definition. So at Kaprun, Austria, in November 2000, 155 people died in a so-called cable car Seilbahn fire. This was built by major companies and complied with all regulations, yet there was still a disaster. But this is what we found out. That the fundamental problem was that the designers complied with the regulations for a Seilbahn. It was a cable car, what was regulated. However, the Seilbahn regulations were designed, as you can know and remember perhaps from your going to the Alps or so, a box on a string, hanging. Not a train in a tunnel. We have even talked or discussed if it's a train. Good question. Both were pulled by a cable or side. The train or not. Yeah. So the regulation classified both systems as Seilbahn, even though they were obviously totally different hazards. As a result, there were no emergency exits, or lights, or planning, or a method to pull the burning train out of the tunnel. No one thought about the fire, nor did regulators ask anyone to think about it. The result of thinking or not thinking, 155 dead. Was Kaprun unforeseeable? A catastrophe, like it was mentioned in the newspapers. Interesting enough, 150 people died on the involved wagon set. 2 on the wagon set coming down. That was the reason, because it was the first train going up, and the others that were operators. But, very interesting, 3 at the top of the tunnel, 2 miles away from the fire. I think this is a world record of being killed by, not the fire, by the smoke, by the gas, yes. At the top. This is an exit station at the top, where you like to see. Not to die. Now, the decisions of the courts in Salzburg trial court and Linz appellate court holding that no one was responsible had produced many of the victims' families and the media and the public. Just only to mention the state attorney, Mrs. Stanninger, is some kind of relationship with my father-in-law. Okay. Now it's often in such a case that at least judgments spoken in the name of the people cause problems because juridical logic, what's juridical logic? Find that whole evening. And conclusions do not correspond to public perceptions. The way the public sees it, companies have obligations to take care to create safe products, not merely comply with the law. The obligation to take care is often not specific, but general. Yet the defendants in the Kaprun case seems to use exactly such a defense. The judges in Salzburg and confirming in Linz came to the decision that no criminal acts were demonstrated despite the obvious failure to take care. Also mentioned, it's written in the